I may live in Honolulu and have, I guess, for the last 10 years. But for the first 16 years of my solar career, I was in California. So I'm actually wearing my San Luis Obispo shirt here because that's where it all began. San Luis Obispo. Actually, technically, it was Los Osos. Shout out to Rick because I know he loves him some Los Osos. So, with that, I've just prepared something really basic just to kind of guide our chat here. And let me see if I can effectively share my screen. Put it over there, share, expand this and play from the start. Sure. All right. Are you guys seeing the small version, or are you seeing like my presenter view, or are you actually seeing the full
right
screen?
now? It's presenter view.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Sorry about that, guys. All right.
That's good. Yeah.
Stop the share. All right, let's just go ahead and share this screen. And look at this. I got my 6-year-old coming in here. All right, back to it. We are live. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's just go with that. Fine. So, selling storage in a post-NEM market, right? If I guess quick on the background. Okay. So, yep, I've been part of this since 2001. I've been responsible for over 100 megs personally. A lot of that, of course, CNI, residential and CNI. And my wife, also business partner, her world is utility scale. So actually that's what moved us to Hawaii over a decade ago. And she has over 200 megawatts in operation here in Oahu. And actually one of her projects was awarded utility scale project of the year by Solar Builder Mag, because it has a substantial amount of storage. So that's what this is Hawaii. We've been in this world of battery storage for quite a while. And I'm here to give some hope for those of you selling in California that are worried about it. And hopefully I can make it a little bit better, a little bit easier. You guys have had some really good trainings, but repetition helps. Are you guys able to read it okay? I know it's kind of showing that side piece. All right, cool. So, why do I do this? Why do I keep banging my head against status quo and the solar coaster and all the challenges? It's in my core. Bottom line, I truly believe our homes, cars, businesses should be run from the sun. It makes sense. Heck, our food should be grown that way too. My wife is spearing up agrivoltaics, and I firmly believe that utility scale and farmland actually don't butt heads together. But if anyone's really going to take power into their own hands, you got to put solar on your home. Period. End of story. Utilities are publicly traded. Most of them are, at least the IOUs in California. And their fiduciary duty is to maximize shareholder profit, not to deliver savings to the homeowner. That is our job. So with storage, there's a lot of value propositions. Okay. But selling it does require more finesse. NEM was easy. Okay. Just plain and simple, easy. Annual consumption, thinking about credit rollover, super easy. It requires more of a conversation. And you got to meet that homeowner where they're at. No different from any other sales training that we go through. You have to understand, why are you in that room, or why are you on that Zoom call? What is motivating them? And you got to understand, what are their preconceived notions? What are they looking for? What about storage and solar is appealing? This is the Jeremy Minor discovery to a T as you get into it, and that they may not realize the problem that they have. So we'll get into that more and how to uncover some of that. So, some of the things, I really like bringing up, are they worried about losing power? Is this strictly about ROI and cash flow? And I think those of us that are on this call that have had these conversations, most homeowners will respond quickly with, it's about the ROI. It's just about cash flow. I'm not worried about losing power, until they do. And one of the things that I find most effective in my team here, so I oversee a residential and sales team out here in Hawaii. The name of the company is called Hawaii Unified. We're bringing power here locally. So I have a very active team of selling storage, and we have over a 90% battery attachment rate. So I guess I should provide a little bit of that background too. a big conversation piece, it's around EVs. Okay, if someone already has an EV in that house, that's a great conversational starter. How's the EV going? Do they already have an EV charger in their house? Yes or no. You can draw the parallels for, do you know how big the battery is within that EV and how much it takes to charge it? Have you compared that to the cost for gasoline, on how many miles you drive to fill up your tank and how much you spend a year on gasoline versus how many miles you drive with EVs and how many kilowatt hours does that translate to? And one area to touch the emotional button, as Jeremy Miner talks about, that really gets people to make buying decisions, not just on logic, is if California has a major hurricane, that's Hawaii, a major earthquake, to think that if there's a major earthquake, to think that like gas stations are going to be operating or the grid is going to be up quickly, or God forbid, we have a cyber attack on the grid. I mean, there's a book by Ted Koppel called Lights Out. If you want to get freaked out, read that book. It's a little bit old now, but this is not, yes, it's a black swan event, meaning it could be very rare. But if that were to happen and people can't fill up their vehicles with gasoline, what is that going to do? But if someone has a solar on their house, they have batteries installed where they can put out enough amperage to provide their level 1 or level 2 charger, they're set. I mean, they have the critical loads that they're just taken care of. That's emotional stability. And especially for people like me that have 2 young daughters, people that have children in the house, or some people love their dogs or their cats more than their children too. And they're, worried about the cat food staying cool, right? Or just whatever. What is it that creates that energy security for them? And that's what you're bringing to them. I can't say this enough, how important it is when I say meet the customer at their level. Have slides prepared for the customer's utility. Like, if you're going to be selling this, like, get the rate tariff. It's so easy. I mean, if you're PG&E, type in PG&E rate tariff and get the latest rate tariff. Do you know that those rate tariffs change every quarter, every 3 months? They're changing those things. So, it's very valuable to start off on the sales calls. And I know, Jonathan, you've done a lot of really good stuff. Tom, too. I mean, there's so much good content out there on the Power Platform Knowledge Center, and I'm just getting into it, right? So I'm the newbie here on Power, and I'm just so excited to be part of this team and help grow this all together. But you got to customize to the homeowner. So you educate them around what their bill is, going through their bill and their consumption. You're talking about their usage patterns. Are they home during the day or not? How's their air conditioning? Would they like to run their air conditioning more? I was originally born and raised in Fresno, California, when I dealt with 110-degree heat in the summer, right? Everybody would like to run their air conditioning more in the summer. And that actually goes to, I'll come to it with some of our sizing tips as we walk through this in our sales out here in Hawaii, but where we actually oversize systems. And so you get a lot of free power in the summer months, right? Our production curve, and people can have the emotional benefit. It's like free power at that point where they just run their air conditioning in the summer. That feels amazing, especially in hot climates. So think about when you show up there and you get your deck ready, is it worth an extra 2 hours of time to pull the specific electric rate tariff data and have it memorized and actually think through this formula, which I'm about to run to make that one sale, make 5 Gs? I think that's a great hourly return on your time. So going through you got to break down those details so they can connect the dots of, hey, I have a Nissan Leaf. I have a 40 kilowatt hour battery in the Nissan Leaf, or their Tesla, an X amount of what that is. And you break it down and you break into that amount per kilowatt hour. So I actually think the solo proposal that has the graphs and then shows the production curve is actually pretty helpful when it comes to sizing. Because you could be offsetting 100% of the annual load of a house. And in a NEM world, it's easy. That's just where you stop. But in a world where there is very little, you've got a production curve where those shoulders, you're not producing nearly as much in the wintertime because the sun's not out as long, obviously. You need to oversize the system if they really are trying to target reducing truly minimalizing the amount that they buy from the utility. So our reps always show up and are prepared to go over two different system options, basically 100% system option. And of course, this assumes the roof has enough space. And that's always checked before going to the site. And then also 120% offset amount as well, to talk through both of those. And I think a lot of people find that just upsizing that little bit does not cost that much more. So simple rule of thumb. So about what size battery should you go with? And it's just that bullet point down near the bottom. If you get a 6 kW system, double it. So that'd be like 12 kilowatt hours. That would be like the basics and the minimum you'd be looking at. If someone's putting in a 10 kW system, they should have a minimum of 20 kilowatt hours. If you're really get the most out of your self-consumption and really grabbing that solar production and shifting it to the highest cost portions of energy. Most of the time here in Hawaii, they'll actually go a little bit more. It's all in the name of future proofing your house and being resilient. I mean, it's what is driving people. Now with our dealer fees and loan rates and all that stuff going up, you have to think a little bit more about that before doing it. But generally speaking, at minimum, it's 2x the DC size for the kilowatt hours. And there's a big difference, this alert, between loan and lease, okay, with storage. And we've got a wide variety on here, and a lot of you may realize this. If you are doing a Sunnova lease, you need to read that fine print. Okay, now I don't want to look, the lease is fire right now. I mean, like 80% of our deals are third-party leases, and it's just economically it works really well, and a lot of customers are thinking on cash flow, right? If it's up to me personally, if I'm buying it for my own personal house, I'm going storage, I'm not doing a lease. If I'm going to try to avoid it at all costs. If you read the fine print, Sunnova owns every bit of that storage for 25 years. And you read, and they get to use it however they want. And I firmly believe that the value proposition for storage is only beginning. Where we talk about SDG&E on peak rates at 80 cents currently, I think that's peanuts play to where we're going. Okay, so with demand response programs, or in the avoided cost calculator in September, we're over $2 a kilowatt hour for some of those chunks, right? This is just the beginning. I mean, that avoided cost of calculator was a joke. I mean, just a spit in the face to the whole solar industry and a nod to the IOUs, right? I mean, that it's just to lock it in for 9 years. Give me a break. But this is just the beginning. The avoided cost of energy at certain times is going to be substantially more expensive than where it is. And there will be more ancillary benefit services, more demand response type programs, more, you could, sign up your battery to be part of these virtual power plants, like what Swell is doing and other aggregators. And if you buy your solar system with a lease, one of your customers buys with a lease, it is Sunnova's choice to do whatever they want with that, and they get 100% of the financial benefit out of it. All right. If you read the fine print, they'll say that they'll do it and it'll maximize your savings or whatever. But the bottom line is that they earn all those revenues. So in the next slide, I'm going to go through some of the basic economics here for where we stand currently with California. And it's all about keeping things super simple. Simple sells. Complexity kills. What is that, Jim? I think Jim says that. Complexity kills deals or something. It's freaking true. Okay. Especially in residential sales. Just keep it simple if you can. Okay. Especially talking storage. So let's go through an example here. 10 kW system. You got 20 kilowatt hours of storage or 2 solar edge batteries, let's just say. So at minimum, you're going to cycle those batteries once a day. If you really look at it, you're going to get more than that cycling per day and get that value out of it. But let's just keep it simple. So that means every day you got 20 kilowatt hours of storage that can be valued at the highest value of whatever that rate is. Because otherwise you're going to be, sending it back at the avoided cost, which is a few pennies or whatever. And, I get it. you're not getting full value of the 20 kilowatt hours at 80 cents a kilowatt hour for the on peak. If it's like, well, I could have sent it back earlier and gotten 5 cents, but this is where it's cycling more than once a day. Okay, this is the keeping it simple for homeowners. You could do this on a simple freaking calculator. 20 kilowatt hours for every day of those on peak summer days, but roughly 120 days, 4 months of the year at 80 cents a kilowatt hour, $16 a day. All right. And for the on peak winter, 50 cents a kilowatt hour, $10 a day. You just add those kind of two up to super simple, $4,500 a year. That is the absolute basic minimum amount of savings someone's going to see with higher cycling, other ancillary services, whatever. So $4,500 a year. PG&E, I get it. It's a little less, right? You're going to be like 3,500, maybe $4,000 if you get down to it. PG&E, but I mean, PG&E, look at their integrated resource planning dockets and what they have coming and the wildfire mitigation. The rate increases are only just beginning, everybody. Okay, so it's only going to get better. I mean, for the economics of the homeowner with solar and with storage. Little plug for SolarEdge here on the DC coupled architecture. It will make it. It'll be a lot easier, and I don't want to be speaking total untruth. So I need to study the exact details of interconnection amendments, but at least here in Hawaii, let's say you installed SolarEdge with 20 kilowatt hours, 2 batteries, but it's on the DC side, inverter side. If in 2 years from now you wanted to add a 3rd battery to it, you don't have to go through a full amendment process and deal with the utility. To me, that's pretty freaking powerful. Not having to go back through the bureaucracy of because it doesn't technically change anything. It's still the same inverter capacity output. The functionality is still all the same. So that is one thing I do really like about SolarEdge. And just with SolarEdge and Enphase, they're coming out with all the smart load controls to load control your air conditioning units and your water heaters and stuff like that. This is the future. It's super exciting to be part of. And of course, we're going to be able to offer all that through power. So let's go back to our simple math, $4,500 a year. If we just assume pre-tax, you pay 25 G's for that 20 kilowatt hours. Okay. I mean, just nice margin in there. No incentives, assume no incentives, except just the 30% ITC. So you're at 17.5, right? Just divide 17.5 by 4,500. That's under 4-year break even. And you got 10-year warranty on it. Hopefully the power care comes around and we can expand on that. That is one area where Sunnova's nice. They offer 25-year warranties on it that do include battery replacements. They do have a battery replacement in there. That's pretty nice. But even then, the amount of money that homeowners are going to be able to make off their batteries, and here in here in Hawaii, we have a battery bonus program. We have a shift and save. There's other stuff that's coming around. But I did read, and someone else can maybe chime in after, and I'm about to stop here and take questions. If the SGIP in California, that 900 million, re-upped. So, I mean, if we're talking sub 4-year break even at full price, no incentives, 10-year warranty on it. And then as Jeremy Miner and any of us that with sales realize, emotion sells things. And that's why it's so important with the battery sale here that you lay the groundwork. Why are they doing this? What are some of the benefits that come from batteries? People don't really realize it. 95% of people have no idea. And they don't even know what a kilowatt hour is, right? We know that. So you connect and help them identify those problems that batteries solve. It's true energy resiliency to keep, if the grid went out for weeks at a time and their fridge is actually running and all their food doesn't spoil, that's a pretty big deal. There's security systems if they're away from the house on vacation, whatever, and their internet, so that'll still work. I mean, so they don't get, robbed, or they can at least feel safe seeing their house, right? And then of course the driving freedom with the EVs is a big one that I resonate with on a lot of homeowners there. So with that, I don't know if everybody on this has seen what is in the knowledge base already on the energy storage products that are already there to put into your deck. This is good stuff. of the different options, right? And we can go back to that and talk about the different options if you want to, Tom or John. I mean, it's up to you guys. But this is good stuff that's right there in the knowledge base. So with that, I'll pause and let's have more of a conversation instead of me being a professor.
Thanks, Ryan. Who has questions for Mr. Solar?
Thank you, Ryan. Can't wait to open Hawaii and have your team and company kick major butt. I have one or two questions real quick, and then if anyone has questions, feel free to type in the chat. I know Tony asked earlier if Hawaii does batteries without blackout backup protection, or is that something new?
No, we do. It's just 9 out of 10 times with the batteries, and we have over a 90% attachment rate. It's backup. You provide backup as well.